Assalamu alaikum. This is lecture number 24 of Pakistan Studies. In this lecture, we will discuss geography, land, boundaries, and neighborhood. This lecture will be divided into three parts. First, we'll talk about geography and the people. Second, we'll discuss the boundaries. And third, we'll talk about the neighborhood of Pakistan. We take up the first part, that is geography and the people. When Pakistan came into existence in 1947, it had two wings, East Bengal or East Pakistan and West Pakistan. These two parts were separated by 1,000 miles of Indian territory. In 1971, East Pakistan separated from West Pakistan and became the independent sovereign state of Bangladesh. West Pakistan, or post-1971 Pakistan, or present-day Pakistan, is situated in the northwestern part of South Asian subcontinent. This region has maintained its distinctive character and distinctive features, which can be traced back to the period Indus Valley civilization. In the approximate period of 2500 to 1600 BC, we talk about a civilization that existed on the banks of river Indus. Excavations done in Harappa in the Punjab and Mohenjo-daro in Sindh show and provide us clear evidence of the civilization that existed in that period of time, one of the earliest civilizations of the world. On this region, there is also an impact of the Aryans or Arya who came to this subcontinent and they settled here, and they had strong impact on this region. The most profound impact on this region was the advent of the Muslims and Muslim rulers who came into this region from what is now known as Central Asia and Afghanistan. The Muslims ruled over this subcontinent for several hundred years and had profound impact on the development of distinctive character of this region. The last major influence is that of the British rule. The Europeans came into this subcontinent, and ultimately the British were able to establish themselves here. And the British ruled this subcontinent until August 1947, and they have profound impact on the administrative system, on the legal system, the political system, and that impact continues in the post-independence period. In this way, the roots can be traced back to a long period of history for this region. We can talk about the location of Pakistan. Pakistan is located between 24 and 30 7 degrees north latitude and 67 and 75 degrees east longitude. That is the geographic or territorial location of Pakistan. Pakistan's territory is 796,095 square kilometer, and this could also be described as 7,96,095 square kilometers. You could simplify this figure by saying that the territory is 7,96,100 square kilometer. If we look at the division of this territory province-wide, we find that the province of Balochistan has the largest territory. Balochistan has the territory of 347.2 thousand square kilometers, which makes Balochistan having territory 43.61% of total of Pakistan. So this becomes, from territory point of view, the largest province of Pakistan. Punjab is number 2 with 205.3 thousand square kilometers, and this makes 25.81% of Pakistan's territory. Sindh has the territory of 140.9 thousand square kilometers, and this is 17.71% of the total Pakistani territory. The fourth province, Northwest Frontier, has the territory of 74.6 thousand, and this comes to 9.4% of Pakistan's total territory. FATA, or federally administered tribal areas, which are handled by the federal government, has the territory of 27.2 thousand square kilometers, and this comes to 3.4% of Pakistan's territory. The capital city, Islamabad, is administratively a distinct or separate entity, and Islamabad comprises 0.9 thousand square kilometer, and this comes to 0.1% of Pakistan's territory. So you have seen in this table that province of Balochistan is the largest province so far as territory is concerned. Punjab comes second, and then Sindh, Northwest Frontier Province, FATA, that is the federally administered tribal areas, and then we talk about Islamabad, the capital city, which obviously has the smallest population. If we look at this territory, such a vast territory, we find a lot of climatic differences from region to region, from area to area. In the north and northwestern region, you have very high mountains. There are ranges of mountains which cover a large part of north and northwestern regions. The Himalayas and Trans-Himalaya region is that area that is in the north. Then if we move on to the west, we find Balochistan, and most of this region is a plateau with an average height of 1,000 feet. And here you have dry mountains in certain parts, dry mountains which move from upper part, that is north east, to they go to south, and this is a dry region, and dry mountains are there. The third important region of Pakistan is the Indus Plain. Indus Plain constitutes the largest region of Pakistan, and Indus Plain cover over 2 lakh square kilometers of Pakistani territory. And this is the main agricultural heartland with river system, and in this river system Indus plays the key role. Then we can move to the south of Indus region. Here you find desert like Cholistan, Thar, and these are the desert region. And if we move to the upper side of the Indus Plain, then we can find the Pothohar region or Pothohar Plateau. In this way, what we find in this part of the country is that you have different sort of areas and also regions, and situation varies from area to area. For example, Pothohar region is to be found in the east upper part of the Indus region. Now, because of this diversity, territorial diversity, from mountains in the north and northwest to desert in the south of the Indus Plains, the climatic conditions also vary. Climate also varies from region to region. For example, in the north and northwest, where you have high mountains, the Himalayas ranges, the Trans-Himalayas, the Pamirs, and very high mountains like K2 and Nanga Parbat. This is a region where you have very cold weather in the winter, and in certain parts, especially in mountains, you have snowfall in winter. In summer, you have mild weather in this region. When we come to Indus Plain region or areas, there in summer you have quite hot weather, very hot weather, and in winter this would be cold and somewhat dry weather to be found. And if we go to the regions which are adjacent to the Arabian Sea, or you can talk about coastline, if we go to the coastline areas, there we find temperate weather or mild weather. The same can be said about rainfall, because rain also varies from region to region. Some in certain parts you will have more rain, in certain part less rain, and some parts there is very little rain. The main rainfall links with what we call monsoon system, and that is usually in the summer season when monsoon wind come into Pakistan and there is lot of rain, and then in other season rain varies from time to time. So what we see is that the climate in this region, that is Pakistan, varies from area to area. Even within a particular area, the climate or temperature may vary. For example, Indus Plains, which is a very vast area. Here, there may be temperature variation from one end to the other end, to the upper side or upper north to lower south. You will find temperature variations. Here in Pakistan, we have 4 seasons. That's an extension of the climate we have discussed. And there are 4 distinct seasons: summer, winter, these are the 2 major seasons, then spring and fall. And you could see the climatic changes, the environmental changes, the changes amongst the trees and plantations during these 4 seasons. So far as summer is concerned, generally from May to September is considered to be the months of summer. And winter is usually considered from November to February. That is the winter. The spring, when you have flowers all over, more green during that period. And this spring is March and April. Fall, or what we call khizan, is in September and October. You could see the leaves of trees changing their colors, and the impact is very much high. Now we can talk about population. Previously, we were talking about the environment, the topography, the climatic conditions. And now we will talk about the people, human beings, who live within that environment, on whom environment has impact. Their lifestyle, their habits, their dress, and also their activities, food, is influenced by the environment, geographic context, geographic environment within which you are living. If you are living in very cold climate, that will affect the type of dress you will wear. And this may also influence your food choices. And if you are living in a very hot climate, again, the dress habits are going to be influenced by the climatic conditions. Whether you are living in cold climate or hot climate, that will have implications with the type of dress you are wearing. In cold climate, you will wear a particular kind of dress. In hot, dry climate, this would be a different kind of dress. Similarly, it's your food choices, the way you spend your life is affected. Therefore, the environment, geographic environment, the climatic conditions are very important if you want to understand the people, and that's what we have discussed. Now we'll talk about population, that what is the population of Pakistan. If we look at population figures that we will be discussing very shortly, one conclusion is very clear, that rate of growth of population in Pakistan has generally been high. In the late 60s, 70s, 80s, and up to the early 90s, the population growth was very high. It was over 3%, which is considered to be a very high population rate. However, this has declined, and as we will see from the table, this has declined, but nevertheless, the population rate in Pakistan is considered high. Census, that is, you calculate how many people are living. Census is taken after every 10 years. In Pakistan, the first census was done in 1951. It was in 51 that the government of Pakistan made an effort to calculate people, their living conditions, and how many people living in different areas. That's what you do in census. Second census was in 1961. Third census should have been done in 1971. But it wasn't because of the problems in East Pakistan and India-Pakistan war. Therefore, the census was postponed until 1972. In 72, census was done. Then the next census was in 1981. After 1981, census should have been done in 1991. 10 years, 81, 91, 10 years. But for administrative reasons, the government delayed the census, and it was not until 1998 that the census was done. So the last census in Pakistan was done in the year 1998. Now we will look at the population figure and see how population has increased in Pakistan over the years. The first census, as I said, was in 1951. In 1951, Pakistan's population was 36.2 million. That is 1951, 36.2 million. 1961, this population increased to 46.2 million. And during this 10-year period, 51-61, the rate of annual increase of population was 2.80. The third census in Pakistan took place in 1972. And in 1972, Pakistan's population was 65.3 million. And during these years, that is 61 to 1972, the increase in Pakistan's population was 3.10. That is, it has crossed 3% mark, which is very high rate of increase. Now, if we move to 1981, Pakistan's population, according to 1981 census, was 84.3 million. And this showed an annual increase in Pakistan's population by 3.06%. It's a slight decline from the earlier figure of 3.10, but nevertheless it is above 3%. Now we come to 1998, which is the last census taken in Pakistan, and in 1998 Pakistan's population was 130.6 million, and this registered an increase of 2.61% annually. In year 2000, 2003, the Pakistan's population is estimated to be over 140 million. If we look at the details of this population, we find that more than 50% or half of Pakistan's population is under 21. And a large part of this population, that is population under 21, is considered to be dependent population. It depends on others, especially from age up to 15 or 16, there is a greater dependence. If you add to this population people over 65 years of age, that is also considered generally a dependence period. So the details of population show that a large part of Pakistan's population is young. Over 50% of Pakistan's population is young, dependent, and they are also looking for jobs. People 21, when they move ahead, they would be looking for job, and that builds pressure on the social and the economic system. About 30% of Pakistan's population lives in urban areas. This means that 70% or around 70% people live in rural areas and 30% in the urban areas. Like most developing countries, there is a tendency to move from rural to urban areas. And the reason why people move from rural to urban areas are many. And these includes facilities for education. Almost all people want their children to have good education. And urban areas sometimes attract people because urban areas have better educational facilities. Job is another factor that people migrate from rural to other. Economic reason, and then other amenities of life. If there is a rapid movement of population from rural to urban areas for reasons which are now well known, then you have a serious problem of urbanization. You have people moving to urban areas, people moving to cities, whereas the facilities do not exist to accommodate these people. Therefore, you have shanty towns, you have kachi abadis, you have areas in cities where basic amenities, civic amenities are not available. In fact, you have in cities some kind of villages where modern facilities are not available. And these kind of situations, shanty towns, kachi abadi, localities with no facilities like water, like sanitation, roads or streets, lights, these are essentials for decent living. And if these facilities are not available, and sometimes this happens, when there is a rapid urbanization, you face this kind of problem, and this leads to a lot of civic problems and other problems in the cities. Therefore, the general practice is that you provide basic amenities like education, health facilities in the areas, population centers, which are smaller than urban centers, so that people don't have a tendency to migrate. But this is a practice which is to be seen in most of the developing countries, including Pakistan. So you have to deal with this situation, urbanization, that has to take place in a planned manner. Then you don't have problem. If it is unplanned, then in cities you have problem. Now we look at another dimension of population, that is its division by province-wise. If we look at the province-wise division, we find that Punjab has the largest population in Pakistan. In Punjab, 56 to 57% of population lives. So population-wise, Punjab becomes the largest province. More than half of Pakistan's population lives in the province of Punjab. Next is province of Sindh. Sindh has 23% of Pakistan's population. So it becomes number 2 so far as population is concerned. NWFP, Northwest Frontier Province. This has about 14% of Pakistan's population. Balochistan. Balochistan has about 5.3% of Pakistan's population. Now, if you look at these figures of provincial distribution of population, you will find that Punjab has the largest and Balochistan has the smallest number of population. Here, we can compare population with territory. Territory-wise, as we have seen earlier, Balochistan is the largest province. It constitutes about 43.61% of Pakistan's territory, but population-wise, it is the smallest. 5.3% of Pakistan's population lives in the province of Balochistan. So what you see is an uneven distribution of population amongst different provinces. Another important aspect of population relates to literacy. How many people are literate? How many people are in a position to read or write? In case of Pakistan, literacy rate is low. The official figures show that in Pakistan, literacy is about 46%. However, if we think about literacy in meaningful manner, in real terms, that is to say that a person can comfortably read something, understand that thing, and write comfortably, then this literacy rate will go down. Because the official figure is calculated on the basis of if a person can read and understand a sentence, a newspaper headline, he is literate. But for meaningful literacy, you got to have more, and that means the figure goes down. And within this, literacy rate amongst women is low. In certain parts of Balochistan, women literacy, that is women who are able to read, is nominal or non-existent. There is a need to pay greater attention to raise literacy rate of population, and we have to focus on meaningful literacy, that people are able to really read, understand, and write certain things, and to that attention has to be paid. There are other factors that draw our attention to population. That is, for planning and development purpose, we have to focus on population. The question is, why do we bother for population? Why after every 10 years we calculate how many people are living in Pakistan, where they are living, how they are living? Why population has to be calculated? Population has to be calculated because it relates with the planning for development. If you are planning for development, if you are planning that how much school should be opened, hospitals, civic amenities, all these things have to be provided keeping in view population. So you must have some idea of population and how this population is going to increase over a period of time. So for economic development and planning purposes, you must have some data on population. For socio-economic development, again, you must have the people number for whom you have to work for improving their conditions. For other purposes, for example, we have elections from time to time. You know that for elections, the minimum age limit is 18 years, that all those people who are of 18 years and above can register for vote and then exercise their right. And it is from population census, population surveys, that you come to know how many voters would be there. When we are talking about population, we cannot fix an exact figure for a country. We cannot say that country A must have so many people. This is determined keeping in view the resources. That is, whether a country is overpopulated or less populated. This depends on the resources of a country. If the country has more resources, it can have more people. If it has less resources, then it needs less population. In fact, both are problems. If you are overpopulated, which means you have more people than the resources to take care of those people. So if a country is overpopulated, there is a serious economic and social problem. Similarly, if a country is underpopulated, it's a vast country, resources, but has very few people, even then you have problems. So there has to be a relationship between resources and population. Population can be an asset as well as liability. Population is an asset if you have trained, qualified, educated human power. If people are educated, if people have technical skills, they can perform wonders for the country in Pakistan and outside of Pakistan. You know that a large number of Pakistanis are working in the Gulf region and elsewhere. And this skilled human power, skilled Pakistanis, trained Pakistanis who are living outside of Pakistan are doing service to themselves as well as to their families and to nation as a whole. If you have population that is not trained, that is not skilled, that is not educated, that doesn't have technology, then this population is a liability. Therefore, it is very important that we use national resources for training human beings, for turning them into a resource and an asset rather than liability. So it really depends how you deal with population, and therefore dealing with population is extremely important for social and economic development of a country. Now we move on to the second part of today's lecture, that is the question of boundaries. boundaries of Pakistan. And Pakistan shares boundaries with 4 countries. On one side, on the north and northeast, you have China. Chinese boundary is about 600 kilometers. And with China, we also have a road link. This road link is called Karakoram Highway or Shahrai Resham. It is the name for the same highway. And this is one of the wonders of road construction in a very difficult area, and that links the northern areas of Pakistan, places like Gilgit, to the Xinjiang province of China. And you can travel by road. It's all-weather road from Gilgit or northern areas of Pakistan to Xinjiang province of China. And many tourists use this road during summertime, and this road is used for trade. Chinese traders come to Gilgit to sell their things and take Pakistani goods back to China. So we have a good road link with China. In the north, from north to west, we have Afghanistan. And Afghanistan-Pakistan boundary is about 1,200 miles. And this is called the Durand Line. That is, the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan is called the Durand Line, and Durand Line was drawn in November 1893. So it is over 100 years old, 1893, the boundary between Pakistan and at that time British India was drawn. And since it was drawn by a group led by a person who was Durand, it is described as the Durand Line, and it continues from 1893. On the west side, we have Iran, and this Iranian boundary, that is Pakistan-Iran boundary, starts from Kohe Malik Sia, which is a point where Pakistan, Afghanistan and Iran meet, and then it goes down until the Arabian Sea. And very close to that, you have the Gwadar coast. So this is the third side or third important boundary which we have. On the eastern side, we have boundary with India, and this Indian boundary is about 1,400 miles. And this, in addition to this boundary, that is India-Pakistan boundary, Pakistan also deals with India across the line of control in Kashmir, which divides Azad Kashmir from Indian-administered Kashmir. The boundary between India and Pakistan was drawn in August 1947, when India and Pakistan became independent. A commission was appointed, headed by Sir Radcliffe, and there were 2 members, one from Pakistan, one from India, and the commission gave this boundary, India-Pakistan boundary, which is the most troubled boundary so far Pakistan's boundaries are concerned, because we have a lot of problems from time to time with India, and the 1965 war and 71 war were fought on this India-Pakistan boundary and on the line of control. In addition to these boundaries, we also have coastline along the Arabian Sea, which stretches from Rann of Kutch, India border, to the Iranian border. Again, the last port close to Iranian border is Gwadar. So this is a long coastline, and this stretches approximately 450 miles. So this is the boundary, type of boundaries we have. So far as Indian boundary is concerned, there are hardly any natural barriers. But on Afghanistan boundary, there are natural barriers, mountains, and on Iranian side we have mountains as well as plains. Now we talk about the neighborhood, which is the last section. Pakistan is situated in a strategically important region. Pakistan shares boundary with China, and Russia is close by. United States maintains interests in this region. If we go back to pre-1991 period, when Soviet Union existed, then you could say that Soviet Union was also Pakistan's neighbor in the north. However, in 1991, Soviet Union disintegrated and Russia came in its place. And now, in the north and west, we have Afghanistan and states of Central Asia. The Central Asian states became independent in 1991. Central Asian states are Muslim majority states, and Afghanistan. On the north, we have Iran and the Gulf region. Now, these regions are important. Gulf region is important because it has oil resource, and a large number of Pakistanis are working in the Gulf region, which creates a special relationship between Pakistan and the Gulf region. These are Muslim states, Pakistanis are working. And from economic point of view, Gulf, which is next door to Pakistan, is important. Central Asia is also important for oil and gas resources. So we could say that Pakistan is situated very close to strategically important regions where major powers have deep interests, and countries like China and Russia are close by. And we also have India next door, which is a bigger state. Let me conclude today's lecture by saying that we discussed the geography, the climatic, environmental conditions, population, how population is important, and we talked about the boundaries and the neighborhood. This helps us to understand certain basic facts about Pakistan. Khuda Hafiz, until we meet again.